And as we get started, I'd love to invite everyone to start thinking about questions that you will be able to submit to Michael at the end of today's conversation. Going to share the link that you can use to submit your questions. It's a Google form. It's in the chat right now. So go ahead and anytime throughout the program, feel free to submit your question and we'll be answering them at the end.
Can you guys see the slide okay? Cool. And we can use like raise your hand icon, thumbs up. We can mute you. We can ask you to unmute. So yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff to go through today. Thank you guys for signing up. Okay. Should we get this party started?
Okay. Already started. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome everyone to this book launch. I'm Yulia LaRoe, and I'm excited to introduce Michael Krumpak, whom obviously many of you know, and introduce his new book, Why Smart Leaders Do Stupid Things, Lessons Learned from Lousy Leaders. Michael has been a talent development professional for over 30 years. His career spans some of the largest organizations in the world, and we're just all excited to hear more about his book. Let's welcome
So
Michael to the
thank you so
stage.
much, Julia. So Julia is going to help me as our moderator today. We have 101 people signed up, so we're probably going to have a few more beeps. So I apologize for that before we get started. But I'm so happy that you are here today. This has been a project that has been 5 years in the making, and it is available right now on Amazon for $2.99. That's the ebook, and then the hardback and the paperback are 50% off today. And the really cool thing that I'll walk you through in a little bit is we're giving away a $49 companion guide, which is a way to kind of take the stories and the questions and the insights and actually help you put together an action plan. So we'll give that away to anyone that grabs a copy of the book today. If you've already purchased a copy of the book, thank you so much. So yeah, so this has been a crazy adventure. This started during COVID when I was in a coaching program, and a buddy and I talked about writing a coffee table book. And he's like, I think you should put together all your stories. And I'm like, okay, why don't you do the same thing? So he put together his list of stories, and I put together my list of stories that was significantly more. And I'm like, this could be a big book. So I was really hesitant because it's the whole point of this book is to illuminate mistakes that people make. And I make tons of mistakes, a lot of them. I open up, I try to be vulnerable in the book. And when I look back at so many leaders that I've worked with, I've learned so much of what not to do by watching people fall down. So this isn't a book to criticize or judge or shame anyone. It's a collection of stories that really helps us become more self-aware, to learn, to plan, to organize, and take what I call is what smart leadership is and transition that to legendary. So in my mind, kind of the construct of this book and the construct of what I'll walk you through today, there's kind of three levels. One is lousy. Those are the leaders that jump on tables, that scream at people, that are really focused on ego and power and control. And I don't think they ever wake up saying, hey, I'm going to be an evil, bad, lousy leader today. But tiny little things happen that if they don't pay attention to it, can really cause them to derail. So hopefully no one here is a lousy leader. And then we have the smart leaders. Those are the ones that are credentialed. They look really good on paper. They show up great at the interview. But then in times of stress, if they don't pay attention, they can actually derail and slip back down to that legendary stat, or not legendary, the lousy status. And then the goal here is to take those smart leaders and make them legendary. So the whole book is built around this legendary leadership model that I'll unpack for you today. And it's a series of stories and tools and questions that really punch you in the gut and make you think. So I'm going to read a little bit from the book. I have my publisher slash editor here today. I also have a client that has read the book and I've worked with him. They're both going to share a little bit. And Richard, I see you too. He's helping with some of the assessments that we're doing. And I see lots of old friends, new friends, familiar faces. It has been a journey, and I hate social media. I really do. I kind of pushed myself starting back in COVID to open up an Instagram, which I'm horrible at. I think I have like less than 200 followers on that. But I've tried to really pull everything into LinkedIn. So a lot of you I've reached out with, hey, I got a title for the book. What do you think it should be? Hey, I'm working with a couple covers. Like which ones do you think? So it's really been an opportunity to crowdsource and get a lot of feedback and support and encouragement and critique and all of that throughout the last 5 years. So thank you guys for enjoying the journey with me. And this is my dog, Sammy. This was the first time I got my demo book. So it has this big proof over the front of it. And our book launch party is tonight. I'll spare the details, but 60 books don't arrive until 6:45 and we start at 7 tonight. So it has been a quite fun adventure that I'll probably write another book about. So let me tell you about why now, and then I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions. And kind of the format that we'll use today is raise your hand if you have a question or a comment. You can put things in the comment pod or the chat pod as we go. My friend Yulia, our amazing moderator, will kind of go through and help us kind of sort through that. And as Yulia has put in there to submit questions, just click that Google Doc form, the Google form, and that way we can get a nice little tally of all the questions that you have. And in about 20 minutes from now, we'll do a little segment that's called Ask Me Anything About the Book. And I'm really excited to like get your questions and talk with you a little bit about that. So why now? One of the things that I say in the introductory chapter, and I apologize, I have a little bit of potty mouth. I trim most of it out, but there are a couple curse words. But in the intro, I'm like, the world is a shit show. I mean, it really is. We have leaders that technically really aren't leaders, they're more like controllers. And people are just really falling down. And I really think the world needs some tools, some help, some frameworks, a different way to do it. And it's pretty expensive getting an executive coach. And the feedback that we got from one of our beta readers was this feels like a coaching conversation, like we're both at the table, talked face to face. I tried to write it in a tone that feels like a blog, not really a research novel. So there's not a lot of big, fluffy buzzwords and terms. Like one of the things that Mel and I were working on is like takeaways. And she's like, you know how many books talk about takeaways? Like we need to call it something different. So it really encourages people to think differently. But this is a process where I think there's so many people that actually need a better opportunity and need help to become a better leader. So that's kind of why now. It's really real, raw, bold, and needed. Like there's a little scandal that I put in, and let me just kind of throw this out because I won't call her name out, but one of my favorite bosses is on today's launch. And she's like, am I in the book? Am I like a lousy leader? I'm like, no, you're actually like one of my top two favorite leaders. But I've made the commitment to, even though I just broke it, to not really answer that question about who's in the book and who's not in the book. So we've changed the names, we've combined characters, we've changed companies, all of that. The point isn't to finger point, but the point is to really look at the lessons that we can learn from each other and grow together as a community. So here's your first exercise. In one word, in the chat pod, I would love to see what one word intrigues you about what you know about the book. What one word intrigues you about the book? So just put that in the chat pod. Just kind of want to see where you are, what you're thinking. See, Alex is here, Felicia. You guys are welcome to turn on your cameras if you want. It'd be great to see your smiling faces. But I know we have a lot of people. Felicia, good to see you. I saw you were here early. Sorry for kicking you out. Okay, so what intrigues you? We have Tony that says growth, raw, real, honest, candid, smart people doing stupid things. Yeah. Like I was thinking of the title Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself. And like this is kind of a funny story. I was like long story, but I ended up asking a psychic what the best title would be. And she's like, I think it's Check Yourself Before You Wreck Yourself, but either one will work for you. And over the last 5 years, I've really been like socializing the title to try to figure out what works. And I think the smart, the legendary is great, but the stupid and the lousy really gets people to pay attention. So, all right, authentic, real life examples, stories in general. Awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you for helping me. So we have a couple of our testimonials. These are actually ones that are in the book. Tom is here today. You'll get to meet him in a little bit. He said it's a call to re-energize and reconnect with your inner why. Marsha Reynolds, who's one of my favorite coaches and authors, she's very well known in the coaching community. I had the opportunity to have lunch with her and sit down with her, got a picture. It's actually in the book. And she's the author of Coach the Person, Not the Problem. I'm like, you know what? You miss all the shots you don't take. Marsha, I know this is a little bold, a little disruptive. Would you mind reading my book and give me a testimony? And she's like, I love it. So this book gives leaders the mirror and the tools to make bold changes. And then we have some government people as well. Darnell is the Chief Human Resource Officer at the House of Representatives, and he said it is a bold and necessary guide. So, in one sentence, I am kind of, and let me tell you what we have planned for today. I'm going to go through the book. I'm going to tell you why it's different. I'm going to share with you the table of contents. I'm going to read to you 2 pages because they tell me at book launches the author should read 10 minutes. I'll spare you the 10 minutes in the interest of time, but there's a couple pages that I think really set the tone. So I'm going to read to you if you'll allow me. And then we have different pieces of the book. So I spoke at a conference in July, and about 3 weeks before the event, I ended up changing the legendary leader blueprint, which is the model that the whole book is built around, to the legendary leader flight plan. And then from that, we've gone with this whole aviation feel. So there's stories about airlines. I used to work for an airline a long time ago, and I just think it's really sticky. So one of the things that we have in the book is black box reflections. One of the things that happens whenever there's an incident is they look for the black box and they get it and they listen to it and they analyze the data and they try to figure out what's going on to make better decisions and to become better people, better leaders, hopefully, or pilots in this case, going forward. So there's black box reflections. So the book is not just a very passive experience, it's an opportunity for you to hear different stories, hear different sides of those stories, and actually think through some of the questions and reflections. So, with all of that, what is it that, in one sentence, you're most excited for today? So, for today's book launch, is there anything of what I've said, what we've shared, and any of our communication that actually sounds like, hey, this could be pretty cool and pretty excited to hear it? So, anything in the chat pod, you can reply there. And I'm gonna take a sip of water. Oh, no, I won't because I left it. Okay, I'll have coffee. Okay, seeing the model. Yeah. And so here's another story. So I was involved in the National Speakers Association. They had this year-long writing group. So we met every Monday night, shared our writings and everything. And 3 weeks before my first manuscript was due, I'm like, this is a mess. I need to find like a model and a framework to pull it all together. So that's when I came up with this legendary framework. So I'm really excited to kind of walk through that because it's very different than a lot of other leadership models or competency models that are out there. Melissa, hearing my enthusiasm for the whole endeavor, knowing that it's most exciting for you. Oh, thank you for that. Black box reflection. Thank you, Karen. Good to see you. Jamie, seeing the leadership assessment. Great. And as you guys like think of some things, we'll monitor the chat. I have it up on my screen, so feel free to dump in some additional comments and points that you have. So here's what I would do. So when you buy the book, the first thing that you're going to get is a QR code. And the QR code goes to a page that has information about me. It has information about the book. It has videos. There's a lot of tools that you can use. So it's on this page of the book. One of the things that is included with this book is called the Legendary Leader Radar Assessment. It's quick, it's fast. It's about 3 to 5 minutes in general. I guess I should prop this up, right? And it is designed to give you a data point that you can use to figure out what are my skills that maybe I can lean into, maybe I can dial some of those up even more, and where are the opportunities where I need to actually improve a little bit. So what are my opportunities for development? So I would suggest that before you even take the book, and you're welcome to scan this code now and take a look at the assessment. It's called the Legendary Leader Radar Assessment, but it's going to give you a report that's going to be very, very helpful and talk about the top two strengths that you have, as well as a couple other really cool pieces of that assessment. So that's the first thing that I would suggest that you do. So let me tell you why this book is also different. If you look at articles on LinkedIn or magazine articles, personally, I really like when it says, hey, this is a 2 minute read. This is a 5 minute read. So you can kind of block things. The goal with this book was to actually, I wanted someone to like see it in an airport bookstore, grab it, read it on a flight, and be done with their flight and excited, invigorated, and have some really good opportunities to do things. So it's about a 3 to 4 hour read that, like, in my mind, it's the executive that's hungry to like build better teams or become more legendary, that they're really excited about the book. So I tried to keep that in the table of contents. So you'll see the introduction is quick. It's 15 minutes. And that's where you're going to get a wake-up call about how leadership can drift off course and why clarity is really your most powerful tool. So that free assessment is really going to help you with the ticket to entry to this chapter. Then for each of the chapters, it's all built around the Legendary Leader flight plan. So we have liberation, we have expectations, we have growth, empathy, negotiation, decision-making, adaptability, and then there's more of that. So within each of these, you'll see liberation cleared to take off. You will get a way to discover how letting go can create the conditions for innovation, trust, and autonomy. So it's about a 13-minute read. The expectations chapter is 14 minutes. So it's designed, and it's almost like, I don't know, I'm pretty old. I know I look young, but I'm pretty old. But I remember Which Way books. It's like, if you want Bobby to go through door 1, go to page 57. If you want Bobby to go through door 2, go to this other page. That's how I really designed this book, so that you can literally click it if you're on the Kindle and actually go to that piece of the chapter. So let me read to you, if you will allow me. Well, let me just pause for a second. Do you guys have any questions or comments? I'm looking at the chat pod. You can also put up your hand, but any questions or comments before I do my big reading? Good? Good. Okay. So in each chapter, I start with some sort of a quote, some sort of a opportunity to think and reflect a little bit. So in this case, this is a highlight from the chapter. She didn't know it yet, but by 10 a.m., her career and the face of the company would change forever, and no one would say a word. So the meeting started like any other Tuesday. Same boardroom, same stale coffee, same stack of spreadsheets that no one wanted to look at. But something was different that day. The numbers were bad, planes were grounded, and people were whispering in the hallways. And at the center of it all sat Douglas Fitzgerald, Skyway's newly hired senior vice president of maintenance. So Fitz didn't engage in small talk. He didn't smile or look up when people spoke to him. Instead, he flipped through page after page. His jaw was clenched, creating a silence that felt thick enough to choke the room. His face gradually changed color, moving from light pink to deep red, like a thermometer dipped in boiling water. And without warning, he slammed his hand down on the table. This is bullshit, completely unacceptable. He snapped, his voice razor edge. dripping with scorn. Heads snapped up at the outburst. One person flinched, dropped their pen, which hit on the floor with a sharp metallic crack that sliced through the stunned silence. And then, this is the best part, he jumped onto his chair and leaped on top of the table. In stiff dress shoes and starched white shirt, Fitz marched down the center of the table like he owned the sky. Coffee cups rattled, laptops shifted. The air seemed to vanish like a plane cabin after an explosive decompression. I was in the back of the room observing in my HR role. I had clear visibility and I knew unexpected and severe turbulence was coming. It started with a silence that felt too tight. Then came the slammed tables, the flinches, the darting eyes, executives scanning for exits that they couldn't take. I watched the regional director's expression unravel in real time, confidence slipping, panic setting in like a trapped animal, until finally the quiet collapse, the unmistakable weight of defeat settling in. And I had the best seat in the house when Fritz had his temper tantrum at the far end of the table. He stopped, towering over her like a judge preparing to deliver a sentence. You, he barked, you are the reason we're failing. Your leadership is garbage. Your performance is pathetic. Get your act together or get the hell out. She went pale. The room froze. No one moved. No one breathed. No one could. Fitz wasn't done. He hurled threats, promised consequences, and then jumped down, straightened his blazer, and glided smugly out of the conference room. One VP stared at the floor, another rubbed their temples, no one made eye contact, and no one spoke. So, true story. This actually happened. And when I was like sharing this with people, they're like, oh my gosh, I was in a room where someone jumped on the table too. I'm like, holy heck, like this is just crazy. So I'll spare you because we're running a little short on time, but so that's the story. So I tell it from my perspective. And then there's also this thing that I'll share with you in a moment called a spiral, where we look inside potentially what the mindset and the thoughts of the actual leader were, so you can see the situation unfold in someone else's eyes. So in this case, we talked about fear. This was an opportunity where fear and intimidation would happen. And let me ask you this in the chat pod. What do you think happened to results after Fitz jumped on top of the table, had his temper tantrum, was screaming, yelling at the director? What do you think happened to the results? Got worse. Any other guesses? Thank you, Robert, for that. Increase. I guess there's really only two options, right? Yeah, I would have thought that they would have decreased, but actually, the results went up. People started getting their act together. People started paying attention. People started coming in on weekends and working really hard. But here's the thing: fear can really crumble fast. And although results kind of went up for a little bit, eventually they tanked. And this senior vice president, shortly after, was no longer at the organization anymore. So this is an example that really sets the tone of what these type of lousy leaders do. So this is part of the legendary leader flight plan. And there's pieces and parts of this that really align to every story. And not one of these vectors is more important or bigger than anything else. And it stands for liberation. This is where you create conditions for innovation, openness, and risk taking. So a lot of leadership models, I have not seen this. And this is basically, if you do everything right as a leader, you can like step back and let people play to their strengths. This is an opportunity where people are psychologically safe, if you want to put a buzz term on it, where people can speak up, where people can push back, where silence is discouraged and having honest, direct, healthy conflict, debate, and dialogue is encouraged. And that's a really, really, really thing that's difficult for leaders to do. But if you pay attention to these other parts of the legendary leader flight plan, it actually makes creating this liberation environment even easier. So expectations, I always say inspect what you expect. Growth, driving continuous learning and results. So I share a story in the book about a leader that I worked with that read every single leadership development book and talked about it all the time in every meeting, but she never like seemed to get anything out of the book. And so she talked a lot of really good talks and said a lot of really good words, but actually what you do to take the insights and make them action after you read, after you discover, after you have these insights, that's what's really important. And that's what growth is. Then empathy, understanding people's perspectives. In the book, we talk about connection over correction. So I'm a type of person, I'm picky too. But at times I gotta like be aware and step back and try to connect with people rather than say, hey, we need to do this a better way. Negotiation, decision making, adaptability is another one. In the book, I tell a story about Flight 401 that actually crashed into the Florida Everglades. And the reason why is because everybody in the cockpit was focused on trying to troubleshoot a burnout light bulb that everybody lost focus and no one was flying the airplane and it crashed. So adaptability, you can actually hear in the transcript alarms, bells going off in the cockpit. Everyone annoyed it. And how many times do we get focused on those light bulb moments that take all of our attention, all of our focus when really they're not the right they're not the right goal. The goal was to like safely land the airplane, and in this case they weren't paying attention, and the plane crashed. So adaptability is a big part, and that's one of my favorite stories in the book. And then resilience, how do you recover from setbacks? Can you go with a decision that's best for your team, that's best for your organization or your company, or does it have to be the one that you want? So resilience, how quickly do you recover from setbacks? And then this is another one that I think is really different than a lot of other models and a lot of books, and that's yielding. So it's stepping back. And if you've done your homework, if you've done the hard work of a leader, people know what's expected. They have great tools, they have great systems, they're able to have a dialogue, they're able to escalate issues when they become tough and challenging. Then that's when you as a leader can step back and just let your teams perform and figure it out themselves. Sometimes they make mistakes, but if you delegate and give them autonomy, then typically people are so much more bought in. So, based on this part of the Legendary Leader Flight Plan, is there one vector that you think sounds particularly interesting or one that you'd like to learn a little bit more about? So, just in the chat pod, if you could, which vector sounds really interesting to you? I'm just kind of curious what you guys, resilience. Yeah. Yeah. Another one for resilience. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Tony. Expectations. Thanks, Jamie. Uh, expectations, Tom, Connie, yielding, adaptability. Good. More on adaptability, liberation versus being too hands off. Yeah. Yeah. And in the book, I talk about, yeah, liberation doesn't mean you just like lock yourself away in an office for 2 months and let your team figure it out. It means you set them up for success. So great. Thank you guys for sharing a little bit of what you think is interesting. So,
Michael, can I jump in really quickly?
yeah, please.
I think what's really interesting just watching the chat is how often empathy came up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think empathy is so important. And each of these vectors, it's not like they have to be at 100% all the time. Like if you have an employee that's really frustrated, they're trying really hard, maybe you don't see eye to eye, maybe you haven't walked in their shoes, but sometimes you need to step back, become curious, ask some questions to try to find their perspective. And I think empathy is really important in those times when employees need it. And I actually tell a story in the book where I had just moved across country for this new job. I was having problems with my personal life. I was having problems with finances. My mother was sick. It was just crazy. And I was having a meltdown. And my boss came up to me and she's like, I can tell something's wrong. You don't have to go through this alone. I'm here to help. And I start crying like a baby. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I need help. I can't find an apartment to live. And it was one of those moments where it's like someone felt my pain. And as a result, I always remember that situation. And I try to like carry that lesson forward to others when I try to connect. Now, that said, there's times where if you're dealing with an employee, they've been on a performance improvement plan, they're not getting it. There's a time and a place where you dial that empathy down and you have to be more focused on results and business and what's best for the company. So there's a time and a place for empathy. But yeah, thank you for bringing that out. Empathy is really hard, and it's something that I think is really good for the legendary leader radar assessment to give you your self assessment. But let's call it what it is. We all think that we're better than we are. That's why it's a self assessment. We also have a legendary leader 360, where you get your boss, where you get your direct reports, where you get your senior managers, your customers, your peers to give you feedback. And that's when really those blind spots or development opportunities can really emerge. So let me go back to the book and just talk to you a little bit else about what's how it's formatted. So at the end of each chapter, we go through the story, and then we have these black box reflections. So it's basically a summary of what I think the reader should get from the individual story that we go through. Now, in the companion guide that we're giving away free today, and actually, Emin is here. I'm going to ask him to put that link to the companion guide. So if you get the book, I'm going to give you a link. I'll share the coupon code, but it's not 49 bucks. It's free today. But in the companion guide, it actually breaks down these black box reflections into 6 actual questions that you can use to help think. And these questions are tough. It's the type of questions that you would get from like a very expensive executive coach. So I would say the lousy leaders, they're not going to answer any of these questions. The smart ones, they might start a chapter or two, but I encourage you to push yourself to that legendary status and look at these reflection questions and actually think about it, come back to it, and figure out how you can actually apply some of those. So we have the reflection questions. We also have final approach questions. Those are written at the MCC, which is the highest level of a professional coach. So they're really designed to provoke a lot of reflection and thought. So we have lots of questions. And again, the companion book is like a journal. It's a way that you can just put everything in one space to get everything most from the book. And then there's this other thing, and I'll introduce you to my publisher in a little bit. She actually helped me come up with this. And this is like looking inside of the head of the actual leader. So you remember Fitz, the guy that jumped on the table. Well, this is a spiral that looks at, okay, how do you think he saw things? Well, he arrived for a mandate to turn around a maintenance operation at a major airline. There was pressure to get results, and there was imbalance. His leadership turned sharp, team members were dismissed, feedback was avoided, and instead of building trust, he created fear. Rationalization. So, how did Fritz like rationalize why he had a temper tantrum? Perhaps he justified his dominance as driving results. The truth, he silenced the very voices that could have helped him lead. The actions, the meetings became tense, performance spiked briefly, but then it went down. People left, the culture became toxic. And then the legacy that this leader left behind, the team was disengaged, psychological safety vanished, and without trust, his positive results didn't last. So again, each of these stories is trying to look around all corners and all sides to really give you an understanding. So I'll spare you more of the reading, and I'm curious, like, was that good? I have to do a live book launch tonight, and they said I should read, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Also, I need practice for my audiobook too, but that'll be out, I don't know, sometime in the future. But here you can see this is chapter 1. One of my favorite quotes from Richard Branson: train people well enough so that they can leave, but treat them well enough so they don't want to. So this is a story that I call the cage disguised as a corner office. And this character here is sad. Sorry, Freudian slip. His name is Chad. He was a little sad, at least in my mind. But you can see the story and the perspective. Also, so if you get the Kindle, your experience reading the book is a little bit different. The Kindle today is $2.99, just today only. So in the Kindle, you actually get the spiral before you get to read the story. That's just how we had to format it. If you get the paperback or the hardback, you actually get the story and then the spiral is off to the side. So it's just kind of a different experience. I don't know if one is preferred. I've read it on both. I'm like, wow, this is kind of an interesting take. So again, the whole point of this book is to give you a customized journey and experience based on where you think you can lean in to really develop your leadership. And then we have the final approach questions that I said. And these are tough questions. Like the average person's going to read it and say, this is too hard. I'm going to go back and do my fire drill task. But here's an example. Where might your need for control be unintentionally stifling innovation, ownership, or voices on your team? And what would it look like to step back without stepping away? So like I literally worked months on these questions and revised them and shopped them around. They're really, really tough questions that I really invite you to lean into and try to answer. And you don't need to do anyone. I just like pick a couple of them and then go back. Hopefully, this is the book that doesn't really collect dust, but it's one that you kind of pull out, especially in times of stress and pressure, when those moments really test us to how do we emerge as a legendary leader and avoid the slippage of going back into that lousy leader. So I'm going to turn things over to my friend and colleague, Tom. Tom is a chief operating officer in the New Jersey branch of New York Life. And Tom and I, we worked on some coaching. I also did a workshop for his team a little bit. And I thought it would be good for you guys to have an opportunity to hear a little bit from someone other than myself. So, Tom, I will mute myself and take it away. Thanks for joining us today.
Mike, don't feel you got to mute yourself. This is your thing. On behalf of everybody, first of all, congratulations. I know we're all so excited for you. You made such an instrumental change in my life, so I appreciate you reaching out to me. So you guys are probably wondering who's this guy Tom talking to us today. First and foremost, I am a husband. I'm a father of two daughters. In my personal life, we got a lot going on with the family, but professionally, like Mike said, I'm the chief operating officer for New Jersey General Office for New York Life. I did back in 2020, similar to most of us in the world, completely struggling in my day-to-day, my leadership, in a lot of different areas. So I seeked out in my mind at first, like most of us do, I want to improve. It took a while, and then I got really into it. And I was looking for a coach. Luckily, I came across Mike through Bark. I don't know if anybody's familiar. He reached out to me, and we just had an instant connection. Mike was really instrumental in helping me grow because what I wanted to do was grow in, again, my leadership. And when I think of leadership, most of us only think about it professionally, but we lead in so many different aspects. And a lot of us, for myself, when I lead better professionally, I lead better personally. Some of us are the opposite. If we lead better personally, we lead better professionally. So Mike really enabled me to take my career to the next level. In my current role at the time, I was managing about 12 agents, financial service professionals, and I just wanted to grow there. Unbeknownst to me, an opportunity came upon itself where I became the first chief operating officer for our branch. And again, Mike was able to help me through that journey. So I will be forever grateful to Mike, whatever he needs, similar to us all on the call. We're here for him because he's always there for us. So when Mike reached out to me about the book, I was super, super excited. And Mike knows I'm not a great reader. Most of us probably aren't unless it's captivating. So I really enjoy how candid the the book is and real. It's not one of those theology books where you get lost. It's like in the weeds and you feel you're there. And I don't know, for those who've already read it, you really feel like you could relate in so many different ways. And you kind of like, oh, if I was in that situation, I would do this. So getting an opportunity to read the book so far, the first two chapters, I was really happy and blessed. Mike also gave me an opportunity because he knew how important, growing myself is with my team. We did do that flight the flight plan with the radar assessment, which to me so far has been the best aspect. If you haven't done it, do the radar. You actually learn a lot about yourself. Mike told me to think about it while I'm taking it. If I was in a super stressed out situation, answer the questions quickly, and let's see where we are. So myself and my teammates did it, as you could see us on the bottom. Not the best picture of Tom Saccomano, Mike, but I appreciate to be on the screen twice. We all sat down and we kind of got an opportunity to learn more about ourselves. And funny enough, we all were very strong and very weak in similar ways. So what we did after that assessment, because it really did go so well, we sat there for another 30, 40, 50 minutes. I can't remember how long. And we just brainstormed. How can we be better together? And we have come across so many different ideas that we're putting into action. Because one of the things Mike has taught me, I'm sure he taught most of us, is that a plan without action really means nothing. And that book and this assessment and the flight plan really are all just stepping stones into becoming our legendary leader selves. So, Mike, I hopefully hit everything. Again, congratulations. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak on behalf of you and the book. And I can't wait to see your Instagram. I got to follow you now. I didn't even realize you had an Instagram. But I know you're going to share your journey along LinkedIn, and we all can't wait to see what it looks like. And best of luck.
Great. Thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate it. And it's been so rewarding to see Tom grow over the years. I mean, he hasn't shared a lot of details, but he's been promoted. He's grown into a leadership role. He and I had an opportunity to coach one-on-one. And then recently we did the Smart to Legendary program with a leadership radar assessment. And it was the first time I actually saw him actually working with his colleagues and his peers. So he really has stepped it up, and I really appreciate it. And Connie, I hate to call you out, but I don't know how you're doing it, but you're writing on my screen. So that's my fault. I'll figure out how to unwrite it. But I was looking at that. So I apologize for the distraction there. So, all right. And I don't know how to get rid of this. So let's see. Hold on a second. Okay.
There should be like a green pencil, Mike. If you click that, you should be able to delete it all.
Thank you. And it's okay, great.
Add the note. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, now I think I need to undo that. And then we'll go back to sharing. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Okay, now you guys are gonna see. Okay, that was on. Okay, so great. So let me talk to you quickly about the companion guide, and then I'm going to open up the line, and Yulia has been collecting your questions. Feel free to use the link to submit questions, and I'll take your questions. So this is the code, write it down for the companion guide. Emin is my assistant extraordinaire. He's going to send you the link so that you can get it. If you don't grab it, just message me later and I'll give you guys the link. So if you get the book today, again, $2.99 from Amazon for the Kindle, we'll give you the free companion guide. So in the companion guide, you have a place where you can actually mark your results from the Legendary Leader Radar Assessment. You have actual lines and spaces for your black box reflection. There's more of those final approach questions, which are those zinger, hard, MCC coach level questions that are at the very end of each chapter. There's also, and you might think this is a little hokey, but stick with me for a second. There's research to prove this. There's a part that says ensuring accountability. So I invite you to think, after you read each chapter, to answer some of these questions about what you will do. Sign it and date it. I encourage you, take a picture and send it to me. Like, if you want someone to like notice that you've recorded it, I'm happy to do that. Better than me, find someone that you work with, a trusted friend or a colleague, to say, you know what, I'm working on this, and check in with me in a week or whenever. So just by doing this, your likelihood of achieving that goal goes up to about 95%. So that goes up significantly, just the fact that you do it. So it's not just kind of a clever trainee thing. Actually sign it, date it, take a picture, and ask someone to hold you accountable. And I encourage you, pick one or two things. All right. Melanie, I forgot. Melanie, I wanted to invite her to join us and say a couple words. Melanie, I found after 5 years of trying to get my book done and I couldn't do it. And a coach said, maybe you need to get some support, Michael. And I'm like, yeah, maybe I should. So I'm so happy to be introduced to Mel. And I wanted to show her to the world here as my amazing editor who took everything that was very chaotic in my head and brought it to life on paper. So Melanie, thank you so much for joining us today. And just unmute your line if you could, please. If you want to say something.
Yeah, of course I do. I've got lots of words. I do the words. So thank you so much for letting me have a few words. It's been absolutely amazing working with you, Michael. And only my mother calls me Melanie, by the way, when I'm in trouble. So, um, but yeah, Mel. So, you know, I'm not just an editor and a publishing support person. Although I started out in that career many years ago, I went into C-level, C-suite level work for nearly over 30 years. I know I look young, but I'm not. And so, and a lot of it was to do with actually teaching managers and leaders and coaching them. So when Michael came to me and said, I have this idea, and I said, well, okay, I've worked on like maybe over 50 or 60 management books. Let me see what you've got because it needs to be different to really make an impact. And I saw what he had. I was like, yes, this is it. I can get behind this book because it really does help us to become more mindful. And I've fallen into the trap myself as a COO many years ago and I've got a psych background. I've got 2 psych degrees and a coaching diploma, all this stuff. And I think I'm pretty smart, but I also fell into quite a few of the traps. That book, and it was quite eye-opening, and I've also experienced them myself. So I really felt this book had legs. I was happy to get behind it. I loved working with you, Mike. You are a perfectionist. You did give me a few extra gray hairs, but it was worth it. It was a learning curve, and thank you, because I think what we have created, what you have created, and I've helped you to create, is definitely going to make a very positive difference. We need to be more mindful and conscious as leaders. And if we really want to take ourselves beyond just the average, we need to bear these things in mind. And I think, Mike, you and I have walked every level of the legendary framework ourselves in the creation. This book has taken about 6 months from first draft to today to get it perfectly polished. But I think we're happy with
You
it,
too.
right?
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate it.
And
Beautiful flowers
it's
too.
oh yeah. I actually knocked them over right before this started, so I'm sitting with my feet in a puddle of water. However, these are my beautiful flowers that Mike sent me that I just am so grateful. And I'm just grateful for actually getting to know you and for working with you. So, writing a book can feel like a very big thing, and I think that we want to put something out there that is just the best ever. We want perfection, but we need to hold to the vision, the meaning that we have, or what we want to share with the world, and that's what I think I've helped you to do, Mike, is to let it go and get it out there because Mike didn't want to let it go in the beginning. It took a very long time for him to really feel like he was ready to share it, but it had to be shared. And so well done. Absolutely. That was the yielding part, Mike.
Yeah, I know, I know. It's hard.
Anyway,
I say I'm an
it's
aspiring
and
legendary leader.
all I can say is to anyone who wants to get their book out there, don't be afraid to leap. it's possible to do it with the right kind of support. And it's within your reach. We all think that it might be something bigger than us, but it just takes a little bit of resilience and persistence. And Michael's a living, walking, breathing example of that. So well done, Mike. It's
Thank you.
been an honor working with you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Melanie. And Melanie is far away in South Africa too, so that's why she sounds so lovely. All right, Julia, let's go to
Oh, do I?
questions. Yeah. So are there any questions that have come in? Or feel free to raise your hand if you have one.
Yes, we have a nice stack of great questions. We ready for them, Michael?
Yeah, fire away.
All right. So, one question is, I love the final approach questions.
Mhm.
What is the best way to use them? Is it better to work through them by myself, with a colleague, a coach? What would you recommend?
Yeah, so final approach questions, those are questions at the end of each chapter. So you've seen all the stories, the spirals, you've done reflections. It's like, all right, what are you going to do? So in the companion guide, we really talk about you want to have insights and then you want to create action from that. So I would invite you to answer the questions on your own if you can, but I don't think there's a real right answer. If you're working with a coach or someone in your organization that can be kind of a thought partner or thinking buddy, I think that's really good to use as well. So I think it really depends, but the point is like look at the question, reflect, think, maybe come back to it. I give some tips about how to really develop yourself. And one of the suggestions I make in the book is like schedule a few minutes every week and make that time on your calendar gold. You don't cancel it. Maybe it's Friday morning before you get to work. Maybe it's Saturday, but take time to actually focus on yourself and make the commitment. So I almost think like thinking of discipline because it's not rocket science, or as I say in the book, it's not rocket surgery. But it's really just being disciplined and taking the initiative to think, write, reflect, sign, date, and what are you going to do with it? So hopefully I answered your question. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Here's another question. How could I sell, quote unquote, this book with the companion guide to coach someone?
Yep. So we actually have a program that is called Smart to Legendary in 9 weeks. It's a 9 week program, and it's an opportunity for you to get some accountability. So if you want to read the book and do the assessment, that's great. If you want to work with a coach or want to work with a thinking partner, that's really good too. My suggestion is read one chapter a week for 9 weeks. You could even do like a book club or get everybody on your team to get a book and you can have a conversation about what people got in it. But this 9 week program, it's live. I'm facilitating it, so no one else on my team is allowed to touch it for now. It's 9 weeks, 90-minute module where we go through, and I actually cut about 30 to 40,000 words out of the book. So I have lots of case studies and lots of things that actually complement what's in the book. So it's an opportunity to get people together to discuss playbooks, assessments, discussions, case studies, and it's a way to kind of help everybody be personally accountable. So rather than hiring an executive coach, you can join a small cohort and this is the deal today. So this is a $2,000 experience. It's $477, 76% off. And if you want to do it in 3 payments of $198.80, you can do that. So it's small, it's personalized. There's no videos or anything like that, but it's an opportunity to come together to discuss the book, to receive some additional context and models, the things that were cut out of the book, and to give you a safe place where you can actually collaborate with your peers and get some group coaching to help you, in my mind, complete that companion guide. So we have the book, We have the companion guide. If that's good for you, God bless you. If you need a little bit more help, we have this. And because this is the first time that we're doing it, we're sort of giving it away for next to nothing. So, Emin, I'll ask you to share the link and then we'll kick it to you guys later as well. So, all right, we got 3 more minutes. Maybe we can try to get 2 more questions. And hey, the conversation doesn't start today. I try to be active on LinkedIn. My phone number is in the book. My email address is in the book. Like, I try to be very approachable. So if you guys have any questions or challenges or celebrations, I would love to hear from you. So the conversation doesn't stop in 2 minutes. All right, next question.
We have a couple of really great questions. Here's one for you, Michael. How can I use the book to move past working with a really lousy leader?
Oh my gosh. So that's the hardest thing. And Melanie, maybe you have something to share, but let me kind of take a step. So I think part of it is like putting together boundaries and not letting that lousy leader get full control over you. And for me, in that legendary leader framework, it's the resilience and the adaptability. Like, can you pivot? It also comes down to your values. If that leader, the organization, doesn't align with your values, then maybe that's not a good place for you. I actually share an example where I had a very prominent high level director level job when I was 30. And I was asked to pick a vendor from doing 4 months of proposal reviews and a team of like 8 or 9 people. And I refused to do it and I quit. So I'm not suggesting that you like walk away, but you want to have a conversation with that leader. You want to like share your concerns. You want to ask questions, seek to understand, find out what's going on, and try to say, hey, I would really love to work on a better relationship. So I always say, like, try to use the tools and the framework. And there's so much in this book that you can use to have the conversation and give it like a duration. You want to try to do this in 90 days, in 6 months. And then if you don't get any resolution, like, can you move to a different manager? Can you try a different job? The world, I said, is a mess. It's difficult to find jobs. It's hard to find a good place. So I would invite you to open your eyes and learn from the bad things that this lousy leader is doing and sort of share those examples with you and perhaps other people going forward. So hopefully I answered that question.
Jamie asked Michael if there's a specific time for each session in the 9-week program.
Oh yeah. So we haven't scheduled the actual time, but these are the dates. So October 14th through December 16th, we're skipping the week of Thanksgiving. It will probably be from 12 to 1:30. I more or less wanted to kind of see who is interested and we can try to work around to do that. So yeah, if you'd like to talk a little bit more, and that's something that's for everybody. Like the offer expires at midnight on Friday. So think about it. If you have some questions, let me know. And it's just a really good opportunity to not only learn from me, but really I enjoy helping people learn from each other. And that's really the power in learning. So I know we're at time. I want to thank you guys so much for your time, your attention, your support. I hope that you're able to grab a copy. If you grab the Kindle and you hate it, I will give you your money back today only. But I really hope that you can get some great transformation and learn what you can do to not only help yourself, but help those important people inside and outside of work transition from smart to legendary. So I'll stick around if anyone has any more questions or comments or anything, but thank you so much for your time, your attention, your participation today. And complaints are gifts. I'd love to hear your feedback, whether it be good or opportunities for improvement going forward. So hopefully we can all go forward and be legendary today. Thank you so much for joining our book launch today. Bye. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Mel.
Congrats, Mike.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Dima. Thank you, Jamie. So many familiar faces here.
Just Michael, regarding the book itself,
Hey there.
where to get it? Do I just go to Amazon
Yeah,
or
just
you
go
have
to
a link?
Amazon. Yeah,
Okay,
I will
you
drop
go.
the link right now in the,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you.
yep,
Thanks a
absolutely.
lot.
I think we ran out of time, but oh yeah. So the Kindle's $2.99, the paperback's $11.95. These are U.S. prices.
Oh, God.
The hardback is $16.95. So they're all 50% off today.
Dimitri,
Thank
and
you.
are you by any chance a Russian speaker?
Oh yeah,
Oh
I
yeah, yeah,
am.
yeah. He is.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yes, Yulia's from Russia too.
Maybe,
Nice.
maybe
Yeah, I just probably recognize it by the name also.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and I just dropped the link to the Kindle in the chat.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, Dima. Good
All
seeing
right,
you.
See you.
All right. Thank you.
Michael, congratulations again.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Yes, absolutely, Mike. You've just done so well, and such a nice feel-good moment for all of us, I think.
I know, relief. I was up till 2 a.m. last night. So
Oh, I'm sure you were.
we're all good. Hopefully the books show up today, but I have